Hello, today we're going to talk about school bus extrication and rescue and deal with some of the special challenges that are presented with school buses versus regular vehicle extrication, dealing with cars and pickup trucks and so forth. Of course, our number one concern is going to be the safety of our crew responding as well as arriving at the scene. The safety issues would be the placement of apparatus, the safety equipment of personnel, and so forth. Upon arrival, we want to do a quick size up of the scene, determine what our resource needs might be. There may be specialized equipment that is required. We may need to be thinking about law enforcement, how many EMS units, how many rescue units, as well as school board notification and so forth. Upon arriving at the scene, command and control is going to be a very, very important issue. Command and control is going to establish how the rest of the scene goes during your extrication and rescue procedures there. So it's very important that we have a strong ICS system in place, that it is followed, and that the first arriving units gain control of the scene, because like I had mentioned earlier, this is not a normal scene. You're going to get a lot of people stopping by. You're going to get parents stopping by. The school staff and so forth will be responding to such an incident in most cases, and you're going to need to deal with that. So the way to do that is to have a strong command presence on the scene, and everyone works within the ICS system. The resources we pretty much already covered, and that all depends on your size up. So that is something that you're just going to need to determine upon arrival exactly what resources will be available to you to respond. Next, we want to look at the school bus, and we want to determine if there are any stabilization issues. Normally, a school bus is going to be either on its wheels, on its side, or on its roof, and it's going to be a pretty stable situation due to the design of the school bus being flat on most surfaces. However, the situation may not be as simple as that appears, due to the culverts that the bus may be down into, possibly a creek bed, a river bed, off an embankment, or whatever. So we're not going to assume that the bus is going to be on flat ground. We're going to have to assume that we might need to deal with some other issues as far as stabilizing the bus with some tow vehicles or static struts, wood cribbing, or whatever. So that is certainly a consideration. The position that the bus is found in will determine your actions from that point on, as far as if the bus is on its roof or on its side or on its wheels. What we want to do at that point is we want to establish a rescue corridor. And what this rescue corridor is going to be, that's going to be a selection of two openings. One opening is going to be for the entry into the school bus with rescuers and equipment. And the second opening is going to be how we're going to leave the bus with equipment, rescuers, and the patients. So that is our rescue corridor. That's the primary objective once we deal with scene safety, command and control, and a basic size up of the outside of the scene. The other issue dealing with the responding units and so forth would be how many rescuers to put inside the school bus. Now, being aggressive, most firefighters want to be involved in the action and so forth. However, it's very important that we don't overload the school bus with rescuers. Probably 2, maybe 3 rescuers in the school bus to determine the initial situation. What you have is probably going to be fine. You're not going to need an entire crew of 3, 4, 5 guys in the school bus. Now, one other thing, when we get in the school bus, we have to establish some type of a triage system that we are going to use to determine what patients need to go where and who is priority over others. One of those systems is the START triage system, which is recognized nationwide. The START triage system is a very quick assessment of each patient, and that is going to let us know whether the patient is a low priority or a high priority patient. At that point, we also need to assess inside the school bus, is there any entanglement or entrapment? Now, the difference between the two is that entrapment just means that a patient needs help getting out of that bus. That's all that means. They are entrapped inside the bus and they're just going to need some help getting out of that bus in some fashion. It may be because the doors are jammed. It may be because they are having a hard time due to their injuries or whatever. But that is what entrapment is. Entanglement is something completely different. With entanglement, you have patients on the bus that are actually entangled in something within the bus, and in most cases, of course, with a school bus, that will be the seats. Other than the seats, the only entanglement hazard would be if the person's arm or leg or other body part may be trapped underneath the bus. But the main situation that you may be faced with entanglement is going to be within the seats of the school bus. With that said, we want to look at that situation inside the school bus, do a quick triage. We want to report to command what we have, help command to establish what additional resources are needed and so forth. And then the operations section of command will need to determine what is plan A, and I certainly advocate having a plan B ready to go. A plan A will be, okay, what are our initial steps here? We've established the rescue corridor, and now we need to put into place any actions to help the patients out of the school bus or to help them with their entrapment or entanglement hazard there. So, when we determine that, we need to put that plan into action, and that would be such things as removing a seat or 2 or possibly 3 seats, depending on the situation. That may involve taking 2 windows and a window post to make a larger window, what we call a picture window, to remove the person from the bus in that fashion, or other more advanced techniques such as cutting through the bus wall. That would be something that would be a last resort. There are plenty of ways to get people off of school buses without cutting the side or the roof of the bus. So we certainly advocate looking at the safest, easiest, and quickest method that we can accomplish our goals in a timely manner. With that said, there are many other issues dealing with school buses, such as mass casualty incident training. We have the technical side of it as far as the use of the tools and so forth. But overall, those are your initial response and arrival considerations. Watch for future episodes of Advanced Extrication. I'm Leigh Hollins. Thanks for watching.